The immediate sting of defeat is a unique pain in football, and for Arsenal, the loss to Aston Villa has opened a wound that goes beyond just drop points. It has acted as a catalyst, forcing a harsh spotlight onto specific areas of the team that were previously glossed over during winning runs. At the epicentre of this scrutiny is the club's marquee attacking signing, Viktor Gyökeres, whose integration has hit a wall, sparking a fundamental debate about responsibility and fit within Mikel Arteta's system. Gyökeres' statistics make for sobering reading. A solitary goal in his last 9 Premier League appearances is a stark contrast to the prolific output that prompted Arsenal's significant investment made. While the mitigating circumstance of a recent injury is valid, it cannot fully explain the palpable disconnect observed on the pitch. The cameo against Villa was a microcosm of the issue. Introduced at halftime to change the game, the Swedish striker appeared like a foreign component in a well-oiled machine. His inability to secure possession, to hold up the ball and bring others into play was glaring. This raises the pivotal question. Is this a failure of the player to adapt, or a failure of the system to adapt to the player? At Sporting Lisbon, Gyökeres was the ruthless focal point, a penalty box predator whose movement was serviced constantly. At Arsenal, he often finds himself on the periphery, involved in build-up play in areas that negate his primary threat. This suggests a potential tactical misalignment. Perhaps Mikel Arteta needs to refine Gyökeres' role, demanding he conserves his energy for penalty box entries rather than deep link touches. Conversely, it may be an instruction for Arsenal's creative hub, particularly the wide players, to recalibrate their focus and prioritise feeding the striker's runs with earlier, more incisive service. This very point has ignited a fierce discussion among the fan base regarding Bukayo Saka. Accusations of greed have been levelled at the star winger for allegedly overlooking Gyökeres' movements in favour of taking on shots himself. However, the responsibility is a shared burden. A specific moment from the Villa defeat has been dissected endlessly. A low, dangerous cut back from Declan Rice across the 6-yard box that evaded everyone. For many, this was not a failure of delivery, but a failure of anticipation. As in a top-level striker, the instinct to attack that space, to gamble on that ball arriving, is non-negotiable. Gyökeres' hesitation or misjudgment in that critical split second transformed a golden chance into a harmless passage of play. This incident crystallizes the dilemma. Is the striker's movement not intelligent enough? Or are the cues and understanding with his teammates still under construction? The debate is further complicated by emerging reports suggesting that within the club, the long-term vision for the centre-forward role may not solely rest on Gyökeres, but on Kai Havertz. This revelation, if accurate, casts the entire signing in a different light. It was widely documented that Arteta's personal preference last summer leaned towards a different profile, with Benjamin Sesko heavily favoured. The sporting director, Andrea Berta, was a principal advocate for the Gyökeres deal. This internal divergence now leads to an uncomfortable line of inquiry. Are we witnessing a recruitment error or a coach's philosophical stubbornness in not tailoring the attack to maximise a significant asset? The striker's undeniable goal-scoring pedigree in Portugal did not emerge from a vacuum. It is a skill that exists. The central mystery, therefore, is the systemic blockage preventing its translation to the Premier League. While the striker position is mired in debate, another critical area of the squad presents a problem of unequivocal clarity, a debilitating injury crisis. The sight of Leandro Trossard succumbing to a recurrence of his issue against Villa was a hammer blow. The physical toll on the squad is becoming unsustainable for a team with ambitions to conquer multiple fronts. Players are breaking down at an alarming rate, stretching resources to a transparent thinness. Nowhere is this more acutely felt than in midfield. The trio of Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice and the ever-present Thomas Partey are operating on fumes, their workloads bordering on the reckless. It is evident that Arteta currently possesses limited faith in the backup options of Emile Smith-Rowe and Mohamed Elneny to share the burden in high-stakes Premier League fixtures. The manager does have the alternative of deploying Takeru Tomiyasu in a hybrid defensive midfield role, a contingency likely to be tested, but it remains a patchwork solution. The need for fresh, dynamic legs in the engine room is not a luxury. It is an urgent necessity. to avoid burning out the club's most influential players before the season's decisive phase. Encouragingly, signs from the recruitment department indicate this need has been identified as the absolute priority. The recent appointment of a key figure from Napoli to bolster the scouting apparatus appears to have accelerated activity. A clear pattern has emerged in the players linked with a move to the Emirates, and it singularly points to midfield reinforcement. One prominent name is a familiar one to followers of the transfer rumour mill. A player capable of operating as both a 6 and an 8, renowned for powerful ball carrying, robust tackling, and a style that draws direct comparisons to Declan Rice himself. While a summer move seems more probable due to a recent contract, the interest is concrete. Another profile under examination is a technically gifted operator from La Liga, a player praised by peers for his intelligence in tight spaces, his capacity to receive under pressure and progress, play with clever passing. He represents the classic Spanish midfield controller, adept at managing tempo, though questions about his physical robustness in the Premier League are inherent. However, the most intriguing link, and the one that underscores the strategic thinking, is to a burgeoning talent at RB Leipzig. More attack-minded than the others, this player is in scintillating form, offering a direct goal threat and creative output from advanced midfield areas, while also demonstrating the tactical discipline to contribute defensively. This spectrum of targets, from the physical powerhouse to the technical controller to the offensive weapon, reveals a club conducting thorough due diligence on a variety of profiles to find the perfect fit. The message from Andrea Berta and the recruitment team is unambiguous. The midfield is the focal point for January reinforcement. This proactive stance is a welcome recognition of reality. Relying on Rice and Partey to navigate the relentless winter schedule, with fixtures against Wolves, cup commitments, and critical European games, is a recipe for physical and tactical decline. Arteta himself must be acutely aware of this precipice. For the immediate Champions League fixture, the paramount objective should be to grant those key midfielders rest, even if it compromises the result. The long-term campaign is at stake. The convergence of the Joker's conundrum and the midfield emergency defines Arsenal's current crossroads. One issue is a complex puzzle of tactics and confidence. The other is a straightforward case of squad depth and preservation. How the club navigates both in the coming weeks will fundamentally shape their season's trajectory.